What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat with Flex from TWF Gaming. And we're doing something that we normally do on a Friday night. Normally, Friday night we power rate, but it's a Monday. We just revealed the new MLC, and we're going to power rate Penta. Flex, while I try to load your logo in here real quick, what do you think of Penta, and how do you think his power rating is going to go?
He's going to be one of the more challenging ones because he hits, but he hits at a different pace and a different play style. So he's going to – I feel like the power ratings are not going to do him justice, but I also feel like they will do him justice. It's weird. It's weird because he's such a different gameplay than we're used to. So I want to hear your thoughts on it because Bob and I were there on Friday. So generally you and Rusty would have done it on Friday.
Right.
But I want to hear your thoughts on him, especially now that we saw the gameplay. I posted mine. We did it live also, and we have people in our factions that have tested him out. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on him as a character, his gameplay, his everything.
Yeah. Well, let's check him out. So I did not get him. I didn't do loot this weekend. So I didn't take a shot. I didn't win. I didn't get him. But so we're gonna power rate one specific moveset that I think is just funky cool. And of course it's his biggest damage, but I think it's his biggest damage on most everybody's roster, whether or not you have some of the tricks. Anyway, we'll see it. So we've got the Mexican Destroyer, by the way, one of my favorite moves in real wrestling, and it's pretty fun on the game too. Deal damage, force your opponent to skip their turn for one turn, then deal damage, increase your blue MP by 9. It's a 6 MP purple move. Then you've got the Sacrifice. It's a 10 MP blue finisher, which is really weird that we're running the finisher in the middle, but that is where it goes. But it loads off of the 6 MP purple. So the 10 MP is not a hurdle. It's instantly loaded. So
unless you have an opponent that nerfs that, but otherwise in terms of pure gameplay, he charges himself up. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So this is deal damage, make 49 random gems into a mobile gems. That's the whole board. And this is where it gets fun. Then you do a finisher and pin the opponent and choose a 2x2 area to make into trap gems. So you control where your opponent breaks, and they have to break your trap gems to kick out. Then you make, if they break them, that makes 39 random gems into multiply gems of strength 4. Then you do the Penta driver. Deal damage, make 41 multiply gems into purple, and if the opponent's move increase their move damage, you deal damage, and then you make the opponent bleed for 2 turns. So there's just damage all over the place, but it's cool. It's cool. I like it. Yeah. On the entourage, we normally say, hey, I'm not going to assume a midline bonus. This setup with the trainers would be with a midline bonus, but you could very easily sub one of these out for Santa Hogan, and he's still going to hit way over 60 million. 60 millions are, you'll see when we get to the charts, our high water mark. But you need Woods. You could do Sherry. If you want to instead sub out for a turn 1, actually, I think we will do it this way because he's going to hit hard enough, and then we don't have to take a hit.
And when Lee's talking about, make it loaded up. When Lee is talking about 60 million, that's 60 million at 6-star silver. So generally, and I have this in front of all my videos, you're going to see double that unless it's a special type of gem or different type of boost, like Bronson Reed, for example, or the new Alexa, Twisted Bliss. Those are a little bit different. You can't do a true double. Sometimes it's actually a lot more, but especially if it's buffing as it's breaking. But this is going to be a little bit different. So when he's saying 60 million, it's going to be basically 120 million in his estimation.
He'll hit more than that, but 60 million is to get a 5 in the damage category on a power rating. 60 million's our entry point. So I know Rocky's still a little bit rare, but purple moves start with 2 more MP. He'll start loaded turn 1 and feud, and then that way we avoid anybody going like, yeah, but he won't hit that hard on my roster, because you do have other people you can put here like not Dirty Dom, the old Judgment Day Dom, I think it is, that does 2 purple and purple do 50 or something like that. So what's that?
Which one? Which Dom? The old JD Dom?
The old JD Dom, whichever one does 2 purple MP plus 50% purple gem damage. If you don't have Rock, that's who you could use right there as well. Or if you don't have Sherry. Then you've got the free tier, or grind tier, I should say, A tier Bret Hart. The zombie purple gems do 30% more damage, 60% more multi-gem damage. Both Rock and Bret go up if you have them at 6 gold. We're not on the candy store, we're on my CC account, so that would be true there. And then Seth Leonardo for multiplied gems increase their shrink by 3. Memrock would work here, or any of the other zombies that do the 60% buff would work. On the special things, I'll take off the Bubba's plate just to show you that you don't need it. But if you've got the nearing end plate, it works. I didn't think it was going to because of the way a finisher takes you into a new turn. But for whatever reason, this still works. Don't jinx it. Don't change it. Furpo, Scopely, don't change it. And then we do have his gear that I can't take off, but it is purple gems do 200% more damage. And we're going to run it real quick and show you. It is an insane build that's really fun, and it does a lot of damage. So we're going to stun them first. The Mexican Destroyer there stuns Scott Steiner. So that gives you your bonus, your ability to make this whole thing happen in cycle 1, even though it's not turn 1. You hit your finisher, you're going to throw out all of the immobile gems, and then you get to pick where the opponent breaks, because you set a 2x2 area into trap gems. So if I want him to break those, or if I want him to break, well, you have to give him the ability to move the gems, otherwise the AI will do it for you. But now he's going to... Sorry, go ahead.
It's just going to wipe it. So when you're doing it, you just got to be mindful where you're putting it. So it breaks. It breaks a couple. Well, 1 is going to give most of the board. 2 is what you want, so it floods the entire board. Minus the 3 that they match on.
Right. So then you turn the entire board purple and multi-gems. 67 million at silver, which would be 130 million at gold. And you saw me taking stuff off. I took off Sherry. I took off the Bubba plate. I could keep taking things off, and he will still hit 60 million easy at gold. Easy.
Yeah. Just a different card, because you're not used to pinning somebody and then doing something after the fact, right? So it's a little strange. It's not wildly slow, but it's slower than what we're used to for most people, right? That doesn't mean he's not valuable, but not everybody plays the same way.
Right.
But he has value, and he does a lot of damage, so he can overcome quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think Tubob, which by the way, welcome into the chat, Tubob. I think Tubob said he's like Hornswoggle, like he's got some different play style that you don't expect, and I personally find that fun. If every character does the exact same thing, eventually they all start to run together. When they do characters like this, where I'm like, wow, that's kind of a unique setup, it does make me enjoy using that character just because it's different.
Yeah.
All right, I took off everything rare aside from the nearing end plate, and I can't take off his gear. But everything I could. He doesn't have he doesn't have a trainer, and he doesn't have a coach in the second slot at all. And you'll see right there, he's still hit for 68 million at gold. So that's all I wanted to show from that side. Let's go over to the power rating sheet here. And let's rate this guy. Flex, you good to rate him with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we're going to try and do this kind of quick so that we can get to those who haven't seen the blog. But we're going to involve everybody like we usually do. The first 2 categories are objective, meaning we don't get to vote on them because it's just did he do this or did he not. The last 3 we vote together as a team here. So damage, to get 5 points, which is our top score in that, the character needs to be able to do at least 60 million damage. Now, Tubob and I have been talking about when the meta shifts. I thought it might be this month. Spoilers, if you didn't see the blog, it's not this month. We don't have 7-star or 6-star platinum or whatever comes up next. But whenever the meta shifts, we'll readdress that. A lot of the characters are doing over 100 million now, so that feels like it's something. But the entry point, so at least 60 million gets us into top end damage. And I'm just going to put easy 60 million. He easily
Yeah,
hits that.
that's no question.
Yeah. So then for speed, at least two of the following need to be true. MP charge is equal to or lesser than 6. Now I know people are going to say, well, his finisher is 10 MP, but it loads off the 6 MP move. So it doesn't have to be every move, just as long as you can get the entire turn 1 or cycle 1 done without having like a move that you're like, well, I hope this does something, you're good. So that's true. Moves recycle flawlessly. That's true. And or animations are quick, resulting in a feud win under 45 seconds. Easily on the first two. The 45 seconds just depends on how quickly you can click. But the character doesn't get a turn, so it's not like you're waiting on something. I think it's a 5. It's pretty straightforward from that side of things. Any disagreements, Flex?
No, I think we're aligned on that.
Okay, so then we'll put that in there. So now we start talking about the things that are more subjective, like what would you need for your roster. So readiness, I'll put up a poll in just a minute here, but readiness means that the character is kind of ready out the box. Like there are characters like William Regal that can hit a bajillion damage, but you need to have the Piper Plate, gears. You need to have, maybe there's not for Regal, but in other cases, you need a moment to make him work. You need, these certain rare trainers to make them work. We ran him, just so you can see it again real quick. Oh, hi there. I ran him with only Woods, Xavier Woods, and that's not even working there for whatever reason, and Bret Hart. So the big things he needed or had was the gear, and he had the nearing end plates. That would be kind of two special things. So here's how this works. I'm going to set up the vote in a second, but for a 5, the character would need 0 or 1 special thing. That's plate, gear, moment, or rare trainer. For a 4, character needs 2 special things, plate, gear, moment, rare trainer, etc. For a 3, character needs 3, and for a 2, character has to have a lot of stuff, at least 4 things to get him going. Flex, tell me what your thoughts are on that as I get this poll set up.
Well, the gameplay we just did, that one definitely need the gear for.
Yes.
Right? So you need the gear. There's no moment at this particular point. You need a good strap for it. He needs a few things, and that gear was not super cheap. I mean, basically, if you got him, you got the gear this weekend. If you got in time with the 2.5 million cost. So he's a little bit pricey on that end.
So the rare thing, so the strap, just to be clear, we used 100% strap, which is what we used for all of them, and I did Fury 2s. I did not put Tier 6 Fury 3s on him. So
yeah, but you also had the nearing end is pretty common at this point, but the gear is 200% purple gem damage.
Correct. So if you think the nearing end is common, then that would still be 0 to 1 special things. The gear is definitely a need, but that would still be 1 special thing. So if you're debating between a 4 and a 5.
Yeah, I'm just running through my head all the things that he needs. Like for me, I have the running. What do I have on him? I have nearing end, and I would put the rumble on him, but you don't need that. That's just for more excessive damage. That's the way I'm running him.
Right, and you can see entourage-wise, I did that with just Woods and Bret Hart. So I didn't even have any boost. Like obviously you put Sherry, obviously you put Memrock or Leonardo, but I didn't use those to get that 67
Yeah, that's
million.
considering a middle line, but you would basically put
Santa
Hogan on the back just to get the extra, which is everyone should have him at this point. I mean, he's been given away for free. So.
Right. Was the new Austin gear for the new Austin or Striker? Mac, it's actually for both. They have they have the same gear for both of them, kind of the way they have the Santa gear for Santa Hogan and for Powerhouse Hogan. So you can achieve it on either, or can get to it on either. So
yeah.
All right, the readiness poll is almost done. I didn't drop it to a minute. I should have. My apologies. So it's a 2-minute poll, but as of right now, it's a 4. In fact, dominantly a 4. I don't think it's going to change unless we have a huge swing. There we go, 81%. So chat voted for nearing end and gear. All right, so the next one I'll do a 1-minute poll on versatility. Versatility means that the character is, competitively, not just usable, but competitively usable for a 5 in all 3 of the major modes, feud, boss, and showdown. And they have to have a special gem type for Extreme Rules Gemmania, but everybody does nowadays. For a 4, character would be competitively usable in 2 of those 3 big modes. For a 3, character would only be usable in 1, like they might be a great boss character, but they're really not going to shine in Feud or Showdown, or, mix up the combination of those words. And for a 2, that means the character's not really strong in any competitive format, but they would win in tours and blitzes. So Flex, again, while I get the poll ready, tell me your thoughts. What modes are you using Penta in?
I would use him in Showdown because of the damage that's there for task based stuff, breaking multis and all those kinds of things. So I would use him there. I would use him in Feud. I would also kind of eggplant him a little bit. So I would use him. I don't generally use acrobats, but I would use him because the way I've timed him, he's fast enough for me. Not exactly as fast as I want him to be, but
Right.
I would use him in Feud. But I wouldn't use him as like oh my goodness, I can't wait to use him
Not your
like somebody.
go-to acro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not my go-to acro in Feud, but I would use him in Showdown. I would, especially if the perks are there. I mean, if you don't, there's no down perks in Showdown anymore, so you can kind of tune them up.
Right.
So I would use them in Showdown for all that, and because that's where people put a lot of their stuff, their negative stuff on their actual defense. I would use it there just because I want that overkill damage.
Yeah. For me, he's very similar to Muda. Like, if you have Muda decked out with a rumble plate and everything, like, it takes a while. Like, his moves are quick, but it takes a while for the resolution of those moves.
Yeah,
Um,
just everything.
Still awesome, you know?
Yeah. I don't have Muda. I'm actually now 5 shards short of Muda. One of those people who I'm going to be so spiteful I won't use him. I don't like the ongoing cascade. Like I would use that on
Right.
a female card, just
Yeah.
because. I mean, now females have a lot more depth in on that side, but I would use it there just because people are also generally a little bit slower on that, so I don't have to worry about finishing a brawl in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's on the male side, it's a little bit tougher and it's a little bit different to use those types of things. You have 2 or 3 characters that are using those types of additional pieces that are extending the match. So for him, I would use the rumble generally, like I would use that on a more task based approach, like Showdown, destroying more purple, getting max damage, those kind of things, saving
Yeah.
my energy. And he also has a great hot tag feature, by the way.
Nice.
And so that's also good. We showcased that on Friday.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
so I would use him there. I would use the specs more than likely or nothing on the as an ultimate
Right.
in feud just to get save an extra 10, 15 seconds, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the chat went 4, so they all agree that he'd be good in about 2 modes. 2 of the 3. We can debate which ones later. But entourage ability, this is the one that is a make or break for a lot of characters. I will tell you, his entourage ability is very similar, I think, if I'm correct, to ones we've already done, that, and I'll tell you the score once we kind of resolve it. But basically, the entourage ability for a 5 is an essential trainer or coaching ability that adds something you don't want to go into battle without. For a 4, it's widely used, and it's going to help the character it's on reach their full potential. For a 3, it's niche, an ability that you're not going to use it much, but when you do, it's valuable. And for a 2, that would be something that you use if you're missing a character that does the job better. Penta's ability is... One second here. Red gems do 50% more damage. Green moves do start with 2 more MP. So he's part of a cycle that we've seen a lot of lately. I've got the poll going for people, but I will spoil it and say almost every time we've put this similar character up, it's gone 3 with the chat, because it's kind of the definition of niche, right? Like, off the top of your head, Flex, who are you using Penta's green moves start with 2, red gems do 50% on?
I haven't really thought about where I'm going to put his entourage, quite frankly. Red gems, green.
Yeah, green MP, red gems is
I'm
what
trying
he's
to think, like
got.
it wouldn't be good on Fruity Pebbles, Cena's. I don't know, quite
Green
frankly.
MP? No, I
Green
don't
MP
know.
and red. Let me check our roster real quick.
I guess which one? I don't know. I run Chain Gang either triple red or triple blue, so he wouldn't be there. But maybe Halursi, Hustle Lord you respect. Oh yeah, of course, Live Oblivion. Yeah, yeah, that would be one. But again, if you can't name like 10 characters instantly, you're like, oh my gosh, I would use this on this and this and this. That's the definition of niche, and that is what the chat. That's what the chat landed on is a 3.
Yeah, I'm nothing comes. I like the trainer ability just because of 50% gem damage, and that's always going to be good scale. Even in 7-star, what if we get to that point, whatever, it's
Right.
still 50%, right? And there's going to be scale built into it. So I like the potential there. It could also end up being for a character who is low MP and doesn't need the
Right.
actual MP boost, but just needs the gem damage part because there's not really a lot of 50% gem damage ones.
Yeah.
Although Phenom Taker is gonna take the
Yep.
shine away from it a little bit
It's
this
yeah,
month.
because it's 60%. I wish this entire run were 60%, but the chat is saying Turtle Ray, and that's a good shout. Turtle Ray
Yeah,
would be a
thank you
good
much
one.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So his final power rating is a 21 out of 25, which is very good. Let me go to the visual sheet here and show you real quick. That puts him for the acrobats on his own right there. It puts him above Muda before we re-rated him. Puts him above Radical Seth. Puts him above the rework, or I guess DX Sean didn't get reworked. They just keep making parts that make him better.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't
yeah,
put it on, by the way. That just lengthens our gameplay, and I wouldn't do it on that. But it's an option, but it's not an option I would use
right.
just for chat.
Yeah, puts him just below Chain Gang Cena, who got a 22. Uh, Voiceless Punk got a 23. Muda's a 24 once we reworked it, rated him. And then our two 25s in the acrobat category, Jacob Fatu and Seth Leonardo on there. So that puts
I
him
would
in
use
good
him.
category.
See, I would use him above Chain Gang Cena's all red build,
Yeah.
the free levels one, simply because you don't really have board control, and I like board control.
Oh,
Um, so that's a big thing for me. Like here, you have full control unless they have an anti-stun, which most people don't use anymore. Maybe a handful might use it, but most people don't use the anti-stun. So you have full control of where you put the traps. You'd be smart where you place those, and it's a great gimmick play by Scopes on that. But he's forced to do that. Your opponent's forced to do that, and triggers all 46 multis on the board, which then you
yep.
convert into one that is buffed into a color that is buffed um, by your gear. So I like him better. I mean, from the power ratings perspective, obviously it's how it shakes out, but I
Yeah.
would use him over Chain Gang Cena, quite frankly.
Okay. Well, that's a good comparison. So in other classes, for 21 out of 25, puts him with Turtle Kofi, Brett, and Goldberg, which I would put him above all of those easily.
Yeah.
Rabbit and Chainsaw Charlie for strikers,
If
Bubba
you
Ray and Tama for tricks.
Yeah, if you added a new level for like overkill damage, 150 million plus, for example, as a
Right.
tier, and you give like extra credit, so to speak, for those,
Right.
then he obviously gets separated from those. I mean, Goldberg is
Right.
good, especially if you have the gears. You need gears for Hall of Fame. You need his gear for this gameplay, but you also have the all black potential with the sub build. Do I love the sub build? No, but it hits really hard. It hits really well.
Right.
And it gives you some control as long as they don't have escape bars, which most people don't use anymore anyway.
Right.
So again, so you do have a lot more control over the experience and the gameplay.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And awesome that lots of people are jumping on the sheet now. I can see it keeps showing me new avatars of people who are hopping on. So I did post the sheet in the chat for those who are asking for it. And you can see this. The main page you drop into is one that JD Nash organizes for us. Big shout out to him. Thank you. That has it just more data based. This is the more visual based where you can kind of see things. But you can see we got the males, we got the females. And then once JD enters in some of the other ones, I'll clear the ones along the bottom here that you can see. But that's it for this power rating. Flex, do you think the community got it right based on kind of what you're saying? Or you think, man, I would have put him somewhere higher or lower?
I think it got it right based on the structure of the power rating scales and scaling, and good feedback from the community in chat too. So we appreciate that. So I think they got it right on that perspective. He is a little bit better than what he's aligned with on there, but again, that's just because of the way that it is now. And this will evolve, like you said, as the meta evolves.
Yep, that's right. All right, well, that's it for this video. We're about to read the blog again for those who have been waiting for that. But in the meantime, make sure you like this video on our YouTube page, subscribe to Champions Chat and TWF Gaming, and join us every Friday night on the main Twitch account where we power rate the newest characters and sometimes, as you can see from the sheet, some of your old favorites to see how good are they really on the average person's roster. That's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one, friends. Bye.
Thanks all.
Oh, wait, I hit the Champions logo. Wrong one. There we go.